This is Diabolical. And well, here is another another part of playing, reading Pesterquest. This will be part 5. And yeah. So for this part we have Equius and Terezi's roots. So we're gonna be seeing two roots, one of them written by Lalo Hunt and another one by Sarah Sedig or Sedig, I don't know, I'm sorry. Yeah, we've done all these so far, so yeah, let's get on with this one. Volume 7, Root 1, Begin the Friendship Process. Alright, well, we're back to the usual, the cool song, and this thing. It is a clear, cool night, and you're wandering around trying to decide whose hive you should crash at before the sun comes up. It's nice having so many options for places to stay. You've cultivated a decent community for yourself, and there is an ember of pride in your belly about it. Still, you find yourself feeling a little aimless. The last couple friends you made were pretty intense. That is not necessarily a bad thing, but you're vibing at a chiller frequency right now. There is still a while until it gets dangerously light out, so you sort of pop around, seeing what feels right. It's kind of fun to test out the boundaries of your powers. You've used it to find friends, but you're really not sure how far it goes. You think tree, and you don't know how your magic brain decided which one to choose, but fuck if you're not sitting on an extremely high branch a second later. You try it again, with whatever concept comes to mind. Garden, cave, mall, and it all works. You don't remember ever having been to any of these specific places, but you feel a strange, prickly affinity for them each time your feet touch the ground. Those are all pretty generic locational nouns, though. You wonder if it works for things that are more abstract. Quickly, before you can talk yourself out of the naivete of it, before you can talk yourself out of the naivete of it, you think home. It still takes you a minute to open your eyes, even after you feel your guts all back in the right place. Because what if you wake up in a room that feels like yours? Or worse, and infinitely more likely, what if you don't? You breathe in deep, and immediately cough wretchedly. Oh no, we are in a cruelty squad room. Oh, I see a Triton over there. You open your watery eyes, clinging to the hope that maybe you come from a land of dusty comforts, where you always just breathe in layers of dust, and it's fine. It is not fine. You've landed inside of one of the spindliest, most precarious hunks of metal that has ever been bolted into the side of a cliff. It looks like some ancient outpost, not homey at all. Of course, that wouldn't work. It was stupid to try. Defeat is bitter in your mouth. There is a twisty part of you that wants to curl up on a particular piece of floor and take a nap. You can't work out how much of that urge is just you wanting to give in, so just in case, you don't surrender to it. Maybe you'll come back another time and sift through all the shit on the shelves. But for now, you're not sure how structurally sound this thing is, and you can't take any more disappointment. So you try one more time to pop up somewhere you haven't been before. What was that one guy's name that Gamzee mentioned? Oh yeah, Equius. Maybe he's chill. You think his name and sap away, imagining yourself leaving an edgy, despondent swirl of dust in your wake. I don't know. Great illustrations once again. Your magical sap calibration maybe isn't as off as you thought, because you pop in on Equius as close as it is possible to get to the dude without landing directly on top of him. The astonishing unchillness of the situation is imminently apparent. He is mid-jump, mid-yell, mid-sweat, and mid-swing of an outlandishly beefy arm down toward you. You freeze frame like an anime protagonist analyzing their choices mid-battle. In your drawn-out split second of an observational window, you realize he's not aiming at you, but in the direction of whatever noisy wearing thing you happen to plop down in front of. Fuck? As soon as he sees you, his eyebrows shoot up above his busted-ass sunglasses and his yell strangles itself into panic. His arm shudders as though he's trying, and failing, to alter its glorious faceward trajectory. You really don't want to get your face punched off your head, so you scream and zap just outside the high arched door on the far end of the room. Great statues. You hear a deep, meaty thunk, followed by a groan, then a sharp metallic crunch. The wearing stops. Oh my god, is he dead? Is the other thing dead? Should you go check on him? Just get her away from the door and then back to it, unsure what to do.
Was that? No, it can't have been. Hello. Show yourself this instant.
Ah, fuck. He does not sound happy. His words are a little garbled too, like some teeth just got knocked out by whoever's ass he was kicking. You weigh your options. Chicken out. Be brave. Oh no. Oh man. You know the Gamzee seal of approval is maybe not the most credible, but this guy might be an okay dude. And it would definitely be your fault if he was hurt in there. You should at least check on him. Explain or something. You can sap away if it comes down to it. You do the polite thing this time and knock. He opens the door fast, like he was just on the other side of it. You both jump. He collects himself and glares at you, arms crossed against his heaving chest. Rivulets of blood and sweat run together and pull in the divot above his weird alien clavicle, and a low, menacing sound rumbles through him. You can feel it in your teeth. Holy shit, he's terrifying.
Explain yourself immediately.
You think you might shit your pants on the spot, but he gives you a quick up and down and rearranges his expression into a sort of forced smile. It doesn't really feel any more welcoming, what with the blood dripping down his chin, but the fact that he's trying is maybe a good sign. You hold in your fear shit, just in case.
Or, perhaps, come in and take a seat.
He steps aside to beckon you through a door, then sort of freezes.
Unless you should be the one instructing me, in which case it would behoove you to make that promptly apparent. I cannot work out how exactly to address you when you don't wear a caste symbol, and you look like that, which I am either very sorry for or quite, percentage, I don't know, about, depending on where the truth lies. Either way, I'm beginning to perspire about it, so out with it right now.
Man, he's really struggling. The anger you felt radiating off him before is still there, but that doesn't seem to be all what's driving him. It's like there are two competing forces inside him. One that wants to yell at you, and one that wants to get yelled at by you. You might conceptualize these forces as fierce animals, warring in a glorious and unwavering balance. Horses, perhaps? Anyway, you'll workshop that metaphor later. You tell him you know you look weird, but you promise you're cool. You know a friend of his. At the mention of Gamzee, the corner of his lip curls up into something complicated. So you change course real fast, just in case. And Karkat. Does he know Karkat? What a guy. He eyes you warily. Or you think he probably does. With his eyes hidden behind his shades, you can't be sure, but he's being very still. Sweat and blood are still just fucking running down his face, and he's not even acknowledging it. You laugh nervously. You both continue to stand there, waiting for the other to make a move. It would be super helpful if someone was assertive around here. Holy fuck. Luckily, some kind of cow centaur man, his lusses, you assume, breaks the awkward doorway stalemate by silently trotting up and handing Equius a desperately needed towel. He then offers you both some frosty glasses of milk. Something deep inside you feels a swell of warm recognition for the ritualistic moment of a friend's parent bringing you snacks. So you down that thick shit in one go. The Loss's mustache flutters in appreciation, and after a nod between him and Equius, he leaves as quietly as he came.
I see you're an aficionado of the sweetest of nectars. This speaks to the likelihood of your nobility, which is reassuring. I may be able to overlook the circumstances of our meeting then, if you can provide strong evidence, of course. Tell me, are you also a hoofbeast art enthusiast?
He beckons you inside the room, and as you follow, you tell him you're not really sure what that means, but probably. You're a fan of a lot of... Oh. Wow, okay. So that's what that means. Cool, yeah. Whatever. You feel like you learned once that anything can be art if it feels right. So art can definitely be the well-muscled horseman on the walls of this here living space. Equius rumbles in agreement and gestures towards a chair. It's one of those cool red and black gamer theme chairs with embedded speakers. There's a lot of that kind of decorating motif in here, which is a little at odds with the high ceilings and engraved doorways and general blue blood old money architecture. Oh yeah, and there are broken bows and robot parts all over the goddamn fucking place. Not in neat little stacks or connected to other robot parts to create whole robots. Just an absolute wasteland of obliterated robo-corpses. Like they all were torn limb from limb and then just scooted off towards the wall. A fair few of them are spattered in blood, too. Dried. It looks almost black, but the fresh stuff on the fists of the one in pieces at your feet is bright indigo. On the one hand, it is absolutely a relief to see that it's all metal and not flesh body parts scattering the floor. But also it's still, not fucked up looking. Your smile probably has too many teeth in it to seem normal, but Equius returns it in kind and leans, what he probably thinks is casually, against the edge of his desk. It creaks under his weight. Jesus, he could just end you in half a second, couldn't he?
You claim we have mutual acquaintances, so demonstrate it.
He nods towards the screen of his desktop, where he has Trollian open. Oh, fuck. Okay. You guess you can just click on someone and ask them to prove it? He seems to know both Karkat and Gamzee, and between the two, you know who's most likely to be online and ready to pester and be pestered at all times. So you click his screen name and start typing. Centaur's testicle began trolling carcinogeneticist.
Hey Karkat, I hope you're having a good day. I just had a quick favor to ask you. Wait, what? Oh, also, I miss you. What the fuck? What happened to you? Where is your horrifying quirk? How am I supposed to saddle up for some truly nauseating conversation if I don't have a not veiled at all bulge reference greeting me at the beginning of every one of your excruciating messages? Are you sick? Like, in a new way? Oh, right. Jesus, you're logged in as Equius. Your fool ass just started typing like you had your own account for some reason. You blame it on the nerves and get to clarifying. Oh, sorry. This is your new friend. After I dropped you off yesterday, I wandered around for a while and now I'm hanging out with Equius. I'm using his computer.
Oh, my pusher almost fucking gave up on the spot.
I don't think he trusts me. Can you vouch for me?
Hold on, let me just bask in the concept of the two of you hanging out. This is a mental masterpiece. A tableau of awkward fucking splendor. I legitimately do not even know what sort of short-circuiting must be happening in his brain to try and make sense of you. Please don't tell me a single fucking thing about it later. Okay. I'm done now. Is he watching? Equius leans over your shoulder and tucks his hair behind his ears so it doesn't get in the way of his typing.
It is a bow and arrow. Any resemblance otherwise is only a pleasant coincidence. And yes, I am watching.
Okay, whatever. Listen up, you milk-luck chum squelcher. This little guy right here, the one you're probably dripping sweat all over, that's one of the realest friends you'll ever hope to make. Sure, they'll send your life careening horrendously off course, but it will absolutely be worth it for the level of dedication they bring to the table. Don't even bother with the blood-colored horseshoe with this one, since they're the only one of their species. Just roll with it for once in your wretched life. Don't fuck this one up, Sahak. They're an abomination, and they wouldn't know what a boundary was if it took up a residence in their greased chute. But you two have those things in common, so in this case, that's a good thing. Equius inhales sharply, and you wonder what Karkat meant by that. About Equius, you mean? Sure, you're an inexplicable being, neither earthly nor Alternian, but with weird, itchy memories about having lived on both planets. But he doesn't seem out of the normal range of fucked up, considering troll standards. In fact, how about this?
That is sufficient. Goodbye.
He minimizes the window and steps back, somehow sweatier than he was before. He taps the towel gingerly to his forehead.
So, we have now been properly introduced.
Okay then, you definitely thought he was going to be more thorough than that. He does seem a little shaken up, so maybe you should just be thankful the conversation got cut short before he could really dig too deep into your lore and get judgmental about it.
I do not know the standard method of communication with your species. You will take the lead here, and it will surely become clear how I should proceed. Yes, that sounds extremely feasible. You will now begin the friendship process. I command it.
Oh, sure. You got this. How exactly do you got this? Show off your cool powers. So we're both freaks, huh? Yeah, just show the cool powers. Great, you can do that. Making friendship happen is like the one skill you actually have. From what you recall, you have a 100% success rate at it, too. So this budding rapport is safe in your hands.
Excellent.
Oof. You really weren't sure he'd be down for this. It really seemed like he might be coming to kill you when you heard him stomping towards the door earlier.
Kill you? I would never...
He cuts himself off, as though he didn't intend to admit he didn't have it in him to murder you, and clears his throat.
At first I thought you might be Arthur, my losses. It's ridiculous looking back, though you do share a sort of globular pated resemblance. How do you come to entangle yourself in my brawl, only to immediately escape? Are you abnormally fast? I admit that particular method of being strong had not occurred to me, but I am intrigued. I, too, like to test the limits of physical capability.
Oh, no, you can just zap places. It's a kind of strength, maybe, if you wanted to find a superpower that way. You show off a bit, since you know Equius likes demonstrations. You tell him about how all you have to do is think of a place or a person you want to visit, and pop. Oh, you bump to the top of a pile of robot parts, then back in front of him on the floor. It's like that, except anywhere.
I see. That is exceptional.
He sort of just starts quaking gently where he stands. He rubs his neck with his towel, but he's not really even sweating any more than he had been already. It's as though in his excitement he forgot to sweat and just dabbed by force of habit? Is that a thing? Why are you even noticing this shit?
Is it possible to bring along a pillion rider?
What, like stab a body with you? In answer, you extend an elbow for him to grab. His whole body is vibrating by this point. He reaches his hand out, but stops just before he touches you, like you might shock him. It's okay, it won't hurt, you say. His fingers twitch, just above your elbow, and his mouth purses in distrust. You're not sure exactly what he's worried about, since you're extremely undangerous, but you let him have a moment to work through whatever he's nervous about. He takes a steadying breath. It's a little unsettling to see his face relax, even briefly, into soft, calm lines. Flipped palm up, his hand slowly cradles your forearm from below. He nods, a sharp, determined movement, and starts telling you what to do again.
You will take me with you. Her name is Nepeta. Do you require any other information, or will that be sufficient?
That ought to do it. You haven't heard of her, you don't think, but you feel an immediate surge of excitement about this little jaunt. It's probably mostly just the friendship thirst talking, but you can't help but feel like this is a connection that is supposed to be made. Like it's something that matters. You sap away. The pleasant little cosmic slip and slide feeling when you sap around is jolted, like you got yanked off the ride with a fishhook to your guts. You land back exactly where you started.
That did not work. Did you mislead me?
No, this should work. You're not even high this time.
As impressive as the strength of your power is, perhaps you need to apply more attention to the more intricate details involved. She is an olive blood, very short, and shamefully unkempt. This information will help.
You hope so. He, is starting to look pretty tense, even with the fun lilt in his voice as he talks about his messy friend. You give it another whirl, and then you feel it. That same wavy glare on your back, on the back of your neck telling you don't belong. Oh, the deposer. Fuck, you got sap blocked again.
You will try again.
Each word is ground out one at a time between his clenched teeth. Blood trickles through the cracks in his bite and out of the corner of his lips. You really don't think it's going to work, but Equius looks like he's a second away from losing his shit. So reluctantly, you comply. Quit fucking trying to skip ahead. It's not going to work. As you hurtle through space-time towards Equius' floor, you start to wonder if this is just gonna be what happens now when you try to make friends. You accept this truth into your heart as your face accepts the impending wood planks. Equius lands on his feet a little ways away from you, his hands balled into fists, bellowing with impotent rage. He's not even saying words, just unleashing an agonized, guttural wail. He punches an already dead robot torso leaning against the bookshelf. In punctuation, he kicks its decapitated head, which explodes in a shower of bolts and sparks. As the dust clears, you see him dutifully wiping himself down with a towel, breathing hard. He seems to have worked his anger out, because he walks with purposeful grace, as though he learned it in cotillion, and sits next to where you're still sort of laying on the floor. You're both silent for a beat. Equius tugs out a lock of his hair, anxiously wrapping it around his finger. His hands fall to his lap.
I apologize for that display. The disappointment emotion is not my favorite. I feel better now, however. My Moirail lives very far away, so our paths have never been able to cross.
I figured it out.
Whatever force is blocking us seems to wield a significant narrative power, so I will respect its whims as above mine in status. For now.
You know, it happens. You're no stranger to the ups and downs of friendship. The trick is to know when to keep trying and when to fall back, no matter how futile it feels or how alone you are.
Your morale is impressive, considering your circumstances.
That's probably mostly a compliment? You're not really sure. Your circumstances definitely feel like they could be worse.
You are very sure of yourself. How do you manage this when you are the only one of your kind? Without a society to tell you how to act or feel, how do you know if you're living in the correct way? How do you know where you belong? Or if you belong?
Fucking ouch! The desire to belong is a yawning wound in your guts, one that never seems to heal. You try not to let this rip too many stitches out of it. You never feel totally secure, you say. There's always fear, always doubt, always pain. But you find people in unlikely places, make community when and where you can. Shit, you have belongings at, like 8 people's houses by now? It's not the same as having your own spot, but it's definitely something. You started off on the defensive, but you realize it's true. So really, you figure, you're still defining yourself by your relationships to other people, but that can come from a good place, and not just a twisted and forced one. You get wanting to know you're doing something right, unlocking your own mentally devised set of achievements for that sweet dopamine rush. But leaning on a fucked up social system for direction and validation doesn't really help him, and it definitely isn't helping many others. You don't need that to figure yourself out. His brows furrow, and you can almost hear a couple of the 4,672 rigid barriers in his brain creaking open. It's not just other people, you think. You find strength in that, right? In your own self too. You met a lot of people and learned a lot of ways to be, but you're still working on what that means for you.
No, it is not right. But I appreciate the attempt. This type of understanding does not come easy to me, but I believe I am following. In my case, I have striven to locate and retool the edge of my own ability. Physical prowess is a relatively typical indigo trait, but I am abnormally strong. I've worked to hone it, in an attempt to make sense of myself and why I am like this, reining in an aberrant trait and defining myself by it. He gestures to the god-awful robot mess, then flexes his hand. The blood has coagulated since the two of you started talking. He stares at it. This way of thinking may not always be a good thing, however. Certain habits are difficult to break. Though there are loopholes in every rule, I often lose track of which regulations I actually enjoy following and which I just do not know out of disregard. At least with this hobby, all the stakes are under my control, with no chance of others getting hurt. Unless they haphazardly sap in between your fight looking for friendship, that is. His smile is broken and rigid as it was the first time, but it feels different, backed by the rough warmth of his laugh. Yes, do not do that again. Next time, you will sap to the front door and Arthur will let you in.
Next time, you think? And you smile back. Aw. Pretty short, pretty sweet. Well, I was curious on how Equius route would go, and that was pretty good. You help Equius flex the most important muscle of all. Oh, well, that was pretty cute. Warnings. Self-harm, blood. Ow. Chicken out. You don't know. Equius looks super strong and even more pissed. You really, really don't want to be the next in line to get disemboweled. If friendship with this guy is really meant to be, maybe you can reconnect with Gamzee as an intermediary. That sounds like a normal and cool time. Panic grips you as his heavy footsteps approach the door. Forgetting you have super useful stat power specifically for use in time-sensitive panic situations, you turn and run. You glance over your shoulder as you go, and collide spectacularly with a brick wall. Looking up from the brightly polished floor where you lay, inexplicably doused in milk and broken glass, you realize it wasn't a wall you hit. It is a glistening, part pseudo-humanoid, part horse, cow, beast, person? Another godforsaken losses, maybe? You really are not sure, but the fact that this top half looks kind of like a more dapper you fills you with the most cursed mixture of fear and curiosity you've felt thus far. He doesn't seem bothered by you at all, only anxiously trying to get by you. You try to stand up, but you slip on the milk and eat shit just as Equius bursts through the door. They both tower over where you lay, flopping ineffectively in a burgeoning puddle of froth. God, is everyone in this house just made of muscle? You've had enough of this regular strain escape attempt shit. Bruised, humiliated, and covered in dairy, you sap on out of there. Wow, I do not like the look of that. Right, be brave and... we're both freaks. Ugh. You decide to just go for it. Sometimes leaping into what could potentially be a super sensitive topic for someone ends up being the key ingredient in a friendship pie. No, okay. You can see it now. Equius crying, thankful you are here to talk about whatever this unspeakable commonality you share is. You wiping his tears with his already pretty soaked towel. You shake yourself out of your daydream and drop the sweet, loaded question. Sweet? Right in his lap. Holy shit, you can't wait till this works.
Excuse you. Speak for yourself. My standing is unblemished. Karkat is only comparing us in that way to further the ruse that he is removed from their particular category. It is a delicate social dance.
Oh, okay. I'm not really sure Karkat sees it that way, but hey, whatever works for them. Anyway, you know he was just yelling a lot about something that's not a big deal, as is his manner of showing affection. But you just thought he meant like the horn thing.
The horn thing?
Oh shit, you're sorry. You don't know what things are and aren't callable around here, you know? It's almost like it's all entirely arbitrary and at the whims of whoever's in charge or something. You like the look, personally, but you haven't made friends with someone with a broken one before, so you're not sure how common it is.
It is relatively uncommon. They are exceptionally sturdy, so it takes something very strong to break them.
It looks like he might be about to tell you the story, but somehow you keep not learning the lesson where you should just chill and experience something instead of leap to try to figure it out before it happens. So, fueled by enthusiasm for your newest spur-of-the-moment decision, you stop listening to his lecture on troll biology and focus instead of sapping to the moment his horn broke. Okay, troll biology is probably super uninteresting anyway, and you'll come right back here after and be able to contribute more to the conversation. You pop into a familiar nothingness, but instead of appearing at a point in Equius' past, you feel yourself split. It's like looking at a magic eye puzzle, but with your whole body. You try to concentrate, to align the segments into a whole, but it is too late. You think for a second it might be a cool new power, but it doesn't feel that different than before. Only just triple. It's like there's a narrative precedent for this moment existing in more than one plane of truth. Unable to do anything else but sit there in space, contemplating this paradox, you watch. He looks a little younger, but not much. He's beating the shit out of a robot, but it's not the same as it was what you saw before, however briefly. Then, his movements have been smooth, even in their rage. Like he wasn't afraid until you showed up. Here, in this weird half-present space, his movements are erratic. He swings wildly, unthinkingly, like there is nothing left inside him but one last flicker of fury. His teeth are gritted against tears and he just looks so tired. You want to pull him back, to make him rest. You see him reach the same conclusion, but not at all how you meant it. He just stops. The robot does not. You feel him close his eyes. At the same moment, you see another snapshot of time, much further back. Oh. Wow. Grub Equius. There is a little grub wobbling its way up a stalagmite in a cave. It is definitely a precarious place, but it still somehow feels safe to you, for some reason. Safe, but also like super violent. Who knows, there's a lot going on right now. He crawls to the top and roars a baby-clicking roar, eyeing a taller cave precipice. You see his little behind wiggle as he moves to jump. Over top that, there is another Equius, looking about the same as he does now, just plus one horn, out for a stroll in the moonlight. This one is about to cross the street, when a majestic herd of hoofbeasts crests a faraway hill. He stops, transfixed, as the animals gallop across the plain. He does not hear the approaching scuttlebuggy. You watch all of this from your floating boy's standpoint, unable to stop it. The arcs of their falls align in cosmic synchrony, hair fanned out like a banner of defeat. The echo of the crack the horns make as they shatter reverberates in your teeth. You yell as all three Equiuses hit the respective grounds. You can't help it, you started to care about this guy a little bit. As the sound leaves you, all three of them turn their injured heads to look at you in unison, and you freeze. Shit, that's probably not supposed to happen, right? You were just watching, not changing anything. You barely know what you're doing though, so you can never be sure. You snap immediately back to the present, winded and dizzy. You feel deeply, suddenly corporeal, like you do when you step off a boat onto the shore, but with each atom of your body, separately and all at once. Equius is standing exactly where he was when you left, totally unchanged, still yammering about anatomy. Phew. Good to know nothing got fucked up in the future after you...
Wait, you were there.
He pauses, shaking his head to clear it as his memories realign.
I don't know how I didn't remember. I accepted your offer of friendship and you repay me with this tomfoolery. You knew how it happened all this time, and yet you played ignorant, jogging for position as someone in my trust, only to play me for a fool.
No, see, you didn't before. It wasn't until after you went back that this became the way things went. See, the way time travel works is...
Do not explain time travel to me. What do you take me for?
You're still reeling a bit from seeing him so vulnerable. By varying definitions of vulnerable, you guess, but still. You know you got this information from an unfair source, but now that you have it, you don't feel right just leaving. There's more to Equius than you had originally thought, and you can feel the chance to learn more about him slipping away.
I do not know what it is you want from me, but you will not receive it.
Whatever connection you feel to him in this moment, he clearly does not return it. And shit, he's starting to get pissed. Sweat begins to beat at his temple. Your brain, scrambling to grasp a hold of any thought that isn't your abject friendship failure, latches onto the realization that Sweat and all, his hair somehow still looks really good. Would now be a good time to ask him about what products he...
I don't think this alliance is going to work out. You will leave. I must get back to my business.
Your heart sings as he turns his back to you, presses a button on the back of a robot's neck, and rolls his shoulders.
Goodbye.
Shunned. Well, he didn't just straight up kill us. Anyway, Volume 7, Route 2, A Fair Trial. It is a cool, breezy evening. Violet leaves crunch under your feet as you stroll casually through a dense and inviting forest. Not an environment you're used to on this planet, that's for sure. You should be lapping up this serenity like a thirsty dog at a scent fountain. Instead, you are brooding. So many new friends, all of them a special breed of sad. You don't like seeing sad people, so you've done everything in your power to fix them. Slumber party, matchmaking, throwing a giant spider into a volcano. The smiles your new friends greet you with are all the proof you need that you've been doing good work. And yet, you can't help but wonder how much of a difference any of this really makes. Especially on Alternia. You gather that even if one of these kids avoids being murdered by an insectoid eugenics robot, they'll just wind up conscripted into a lifetime of military service under a colonial empire. Which makes it really hard to believe that inducing a few bouts of revelatory catharsis will ultimately amount to much. It's a depressing thought, and you're not entirely sure what to do with it, which is why you came out here. Nothing better for the soul than a nature hike, right? Maybe after a nice long walk, you'll come out right as... Hey, is that a treehouse?
What? Ouch. Ouch is right, criminal.
Great. More shenanigans. You won't lie and say the prospect of making friends with a spooky shark in glaringly red shades isn't appealing, but criminal doesn't leave a great taste in your mouth. When you try to move, well, you don't, because you're tied to a chair. Strike 2 on the bad taste scorecard. Probably shouldn't stick around for strike 3. In a moment of uncharacteristic self-preservation, you close your eyes and attempt to sap away. But you can't? Your head hurts and your vision is still kinda hazy, which might imply brain damage on account of your surprise wanging. With your luck, that probably means your superpowers are permanently broken. Typical. Looking up at your captor again, you can't help thinking the specs are a bit extra. What kind of loser wears big angular sunglasses like that anyway?
You'd certainly be the one to judge if you had the legal authority to do so. A fashionable dress like that with blood as deliciously red as yours. The hypocrisy on you stings like a fragrant puss.
Gross. Jeez, what's up with these aliens and their hang-ups with blood?
Ha ha ha. Hang-ups. Gallows humor is an admirable quality, but such crowd-pleasing theatrics will not spare you from the full weight of the law.
A bizarre tableau unfolds before you. Stuffed dragons in benches, big angry monster, empty noose dangling next to a window. Looks like you've just wandered into a courtroom drama. Much to your relief, your kidnapper isn't a shark. And you have to admit the glasses do come together in the ensemble, but is instead a short, stocky troll girl in a short-sleeved turtleneck and a pair of garish red Crocs. She sure is stocky. The fashion on this one is staggering, especially with the... Is that a sword cane with a dragon's head?
It is, because I'm blind and cool. But make no mistake, I don't need eyes to smell how guilty you taste.
Wow, is every sentence that tumbles out of this troll's mouth going to be weird and uncomfortable?
Yes, but enough from you, cherry cheeks. His honorable tyranny will only tolerate so much banter before holding you in contempt.
You might be developing some contempt yourself, if you're being honest.
Well, unless you want to be squeezed until your organs burst from your eyes, you'll can the back talk and let the prosecution get to work.
Is that what being held in contempt means? Fine. Because you'll be polite and stop interrupting.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Right. Now that we have the preamble out of the way...
There's a ding from her computer, and her posture immediately switches from confident to frustrated.
Hold on.
She strides over to her hosstop, tapping the gleaming edge of her cane in front of her as she goes. You wonder what kind of miraculous accessibility contraptions exist on this planet that a blind person can just use. Is she licking the monitor? Yeah, she's licking her filthy fucking computer monitor, just slathering up with her teal-tinted saliva, going at it like a husband greeting his war wife after 20 years at sea.
Why? Sorry, give me a second.
No problem, you say. Not like you're going anywhere. Okay, she's distracted. Now would be a great time to go somewhere. Your powers still seem to be on the fritz, but you think the weight of your incredible ass might shatter this chair if you could get some leverage. No. Wait it out. Dude, are we just getting these choices like... You decide it's best to wait this out. The sword and news are a bit worrying, but with the plush toys and chalk drawings, it strikes you that this is probably the closest thing Alternia has to a tea party, which would be adorable if it weren't so depressing. Playing along seems like a prime friend-making activity. Besides, whoever got hurt in a court of law? After a few brusque keystrokes, she strolls back to her place in the center of the room.
Not a word in half a sweep, and now she won't shut up.
You ask who she was talking to.
Just some dumb angry girl who needs to leave me alone until the heat death of the universe. Who even cares anyway? Not me, that's who. Where were we?
Crimes?
Crimes. You're here today to face the highest justice under my authority as Premier League-affiliated legislator in training of His Honorable Tyranny's court. And it is with said authority that I accuse you of that most grievous of crimes against the empire of her imperious condescension.
Uh-oh. What crime would that possibly be? Breaking and entering? Doping with a clown? You guess she could technically nail you down as an accomplice to murder, but...
The crime of existing!
What? You're waiting for the other shoe to drop, but the damn thing just seems to be stuck. Stuck up there. What did she say about being in training? You're beginning to wonder if this is, what did she call it? Slay-licitator? Slay-liciter. Slay-licitator, what the fuck? Prosecutioner? Public extirpatist? You're beginning to wonder if this murder lawyer actually knows what the hell she's talking about.
You think I'm making this up? Do I really look like the kind of girl who would randomly commit unprompted and unjustified murder on a whim?
Look, you met some weird fucking trolls on this planet, and they all seem to have a pretty laissez-faire attitude about murder, so...
No, you know what? Fine. If you're gonna be a pedantic, snot-knobbed little wiggler about it, I'll just recite the whole fucking law verbatim. Article 5, subsection 11, paragraph 68 of the Second New Codes of Alternian Jurisprudence describes your crime as being, having been, or possessing the capacity to be in need of material resource consumption for the purposes of curtailing biological expiry, existing, in, of, around, or through imperial territory, as one of unclassifiable sanguination, mutant, one of extrasolar origination, alien, or one who plans to commit, has committed, or may possess the capacity to commit high crimes and fish demeanors against her imperial condescension, criminal. There. Happy now?
Dang, this girl really knows her stuff.
Of course I do. I'm not some fly-by lunar cycle troll slaughter consultant. I'm a fucking professional.
Clearly. How could you question her expertise on the subject of what is and is not technically a crime when there's so many books piled up haphazardly? You definitely are existing as an alien after all, and you guess that does by definition make you a criminal. And from the look of that news, you doubt the punishment is something as quaint as being thrown in the slammer. So is there an appeals process, or... She springs forward with surprising agility and presses her face right up against yours, sniffing you with alarming enthusiasm.
Your game of candied apple ignorance may convince the pan-scrambled clown fuckers in the cheap seats, but I smell the deception dripping off you like a delicious marmalade. You'll have to do better than this if you really want to. Want to? Did Kanaya make this dress?
Oh, look, an out. Yeah, you say. You and her are great friends. The best. In fact, you think she should message Kanaya right now to clear all this up. You know, like a character witness?
I witness your character plenty, and it is as bland as they come.
That's certainly not the worst contemplative noise you've ever heard.
I may have misjudged you. If you tell anyone I said that, I'm going to cut off your arms and use them to finger paint bulges on your face until you bleed to death.
Wow, that is really messed up. Not bulges. Everything but bulges. You decide that keeping this pointlessly mundane secret is definitely in your best interest. So, does this mean you're free to go?
Not so fast. May have implies possibility, not certainty. Maybe Kanaya gave you this dress because she likes you, or maybe you pressure her into it circumstantially. Maybe you were a delightfully clueless and well-intentioned interloper from beyond the stars. Or maybe you were sent here as a sleeper agent to learn all our weaknesses, so that the entities controlling you can sabotage our future. In cases such as these, I find the best course of action is to leave the verdict up to chance.
She produces a double-headed coin with one side scratched out, and you immediately know exactly where this is going.
The terms are simple. Heads, and I release you from your bonds. Tails, and I release you from being alive.
Is she really about to take you out like a gangster who just betrayed her duality-themed mob boss? Before you can request a less Saturday morning cartoon solution, she flips the coin into the air. Well, this is bad. It is bad, and it kind of makes you angry. This doesn't make sense. You didn't do anything. But here you are with a 50-50 chance of getting murked by a jovial gremlin anyway. Does she think this is normal? Your head is clear enough that you could sap away if you really tried, but something about this murder lawyer is stuck in your craw. Her devotion to justice is obvious, but it's a twisted and brutal justice, streamlined for violence and painfully efficient in enabling exactly that, if this mock trial is anything to go by. This is the same system that requires insectoid eugenics robots to keep the peace, after all. There's so much wrong here, and she doesn't even see it. Like, metaphorically see it. The coin is falling. Every rotation brings you closer to a fate that, regardless of outcome, wouldn't be fair. You decide to think about what should be fair. Just like that, you're standing next to her. With a scream, you snatch her coin out of the air and hurl it with full force through the window. My coin! Sorry, you shout, but she can't expect you to just accept the whims of chance when your life is on the line. Why not? Because that sucks. It's lame and dumb and really cliché. What is she, a comic book villain? Am I supposed to know what that is? You don't know. Troll culture seems to have a lot of really arbitrary similarities to human culture, and it's honestly very confusing. But that's beside the point. With a broad sweep of your arm, you gesture at her drawing of the honorary Tyrannosaurus or whatever, and ask what he would think of your little stunt just now. Pfft, the trial isn't for him. We act like it is, but everyone knows he's just a big hangry monster. That is, yeah, it did say hangry. Or hungry. Huh? Then who? It's for the audience, obviously. By the time you make it to the stand, you're basically dead already. Don't the accused get a chance to defend themselves? Defend? Only the outrageously guilty would ever think to defend themselves in a court of law. Wow, that's fucked up. What is the point of even having a trial then? Besides the sheer pleasure of watching all the hope slowly drain from someone's eyes as they confront their imminently approaching and inevitably gruesome execution? Yeah, besides that. It's a warning to the seditious of what happens when they cross the line. And that line is... existing? Yup. The nonchalance of her answer underlines just how upsetting all of this really is. You remember the law she recited, and one part in particular sticks out to you. Unclassifiable sanguination. Didn't Karkat try to commiserate with you about having mutant blood or something? You know Karkat too? I kept waiting for him to fuss about team leaders, but now he won't shut up about this thing he calls a Dave. Everyone was so worked up about the game, and now they're just over it suddenly. Yeah, that's your fault. Karkat would probably have a nuclear conniption if he knew you were about to say this, but you ask her if she's aware of his blood color. Of course I'm aware of it. What do you think I am, blind? Yes. Karkat's a mutant, right? If you remember correctly, that makes him guilty of the same crime you are. Her expression turns sour, and you can tell this is something she spent a lot of time trying not to think about. You figure she avoided summarily executing you because you're friends with her friends, so she would probably avoid killing Karkat as well, and that's a good thing. Great, in fact. You cannot stress enough how awesome that is. But doesn't that strike her as a bit hypocritical? Making exceptions for her friends? Does she think that everyone else who dies at court or gets cold in their own hives deserve what they get just because she doesn't know them personally? It doesn't matter what I think. That is just how things are. It sucks, but it would suck a lot worse to be killed for saying so. And then who would protect Karkat? Who would protect? I can't help everyone, Cherry Cheeks. I can barely help my friends. Maybe if I stick to it long enough, I can change things from the inside. That's the best any of us can hope for. You guys, that doesn't sound like the worst plan. In fact, it kind of reminds you of who? You feel a sadness well up in your heart, so fast and heavy that it knocks you over into her, and without meaning to you, sap. Your vision is swimming. Voices echo in your head, but you can't pick any of them out. You look around and something is watching you. Not maliciously, not yet. Just observing from a curious distance. Not that you can do anything about it while you're clutching your head and trying to put your memories together. You've been circling around this awful familiar feeling ever since you left Earth, drawn towards it like a singularity. But the closer you get, the less it makes sense. What the fuck just happened? Did you kill me just now? Is this troll hell? Troll hell? Do trolls not have an actual name for... Wait, she's here too? Here seems like an ambitious description. It's more of an ambiguous nexus of metaphysical realities. That is an awfully specific description. Has she been here before? No,
but I've tasted places like this in my dreams.
Or like it, sorry. Great, even more shenanigans. You look around and try to get your bearings, but nothing seems to be in focus. It's all too low resolution, simultaneously too bright and too dark to make sense of.
You okay over there, Cherry Cheeks? Your blood smells really loud right now.
You wouldn't know how to react to that even if you weren't having a memory-induced thought seizure. The pieces are too far apart, and you can't quite put it together. But you remember friends? Bits of memory hit you, sudden flashes of joy, of violence, smiling faces, crying faces, bodies, plans, hope that the world could be made into a better place.
What the fuck are you mumbling about? If you fry your ThinkPad, at least let me in on it so I can participate.
You tell her what you can remember, which isn't much. Friends, sadness, dissatisfaction, people who were deeply unhappy with the state of Alternia and faced violence from all sides, just as your new friends do today. Some of them wanted to change it from the inside, and you remember believing that they could. But you get the sense that a lot of time has passed between now and then, and it doesn't seem like Alternia has gotten much better. In fact, it may have gotten worse. It seems like whatever it was your friends tried to do, they failed.
Of course they did.
What does she mean by that?
Even in the context of your nonsense time-traveling amnesia cover story, it's not hard to believe. Compelling idiots have good ideas all the time. That doesn't change the fact that they're idiots. Which is why I'm going to succeed where everyone else had their entrails ripped out by a swarm of drones and die like the scrubs they were. I am many things, Cherry Cheeks. An idiot isn't one of them.
She flashes a bright and pointed smile, filled with a confidence that you believe with every atom in your body. But you're pretty sure she's not the first person to make you feel that way. Idiots or not, the friends you used to have were just as sure of themselves then as she is now. And what good did it do? Honestly, you doubt that intelligence or competence has much to do with it at all. You think about the drones you barely avoided at Cardcat's hive, and your brief exposure to what this planet calls a criminal justice system. For as violent and unjust as things could be on Earth, at least there was some pretext that the system existed to serve the people. Here, it is just murder. You're not sure that is a system that anyone can salvage. Her smile melts into a frown. And you really should ask what this troll's name is.
Terezi Pyrope.
Terezi doesn't sound particularly happy, as she slumps against a debatably extant wall and slides down into a crouch. Her face is a mask of barely contained emotion.
I can tell why Cardcat would like you. You're very depressing.
You chuckle and sit down at a respectable distance away from her. You definitely don't mean to be depressing, but you have a knack for digging up drama. The hazards of forging new friendships, you guess?
If Vriska saw us right now, she would derisively laugh herself into an aneurysm.
Terezi knows Vriska?
That is one way to put it. We were practically sisters before she broke the rules and ruined everything. How do you know her?
Oh, you played some flarp, killed some kids, felt guilty about it, and then threw Vriska's mom into a volcano.
Wow, you really have gone around. What is a mom?
You would think that was just about the saddest thing you ever heard get said if you didn't already know what a losses was. Oh, I remember that dialogue.
You killed her losses? So that explains why she's been messaging me.
Terezi's laughing, but it doesn't sound like any laughter you've ever heard.
I can't fucking believe it. Circuit figures her shit out just in time for me to have my own identity crisis. And I bet she thinks everything's supposed to be fine between us now, just because... Wanna know a secret, Cherry Cheeks?
Might as well add another one to the pile, you say.
I have no idea what I'm doing. I never have, and I don't think I ever will.
Wow, that's bleak. You guess you're sorry?
It's not your fault. You haven't told me anything I didn't already know.
Her lips are trembling as she reaches behind her and pulls out a box of chalk, and then removes a red piece. You think this is a weird time for artistic expression, but... Oh, she's eating it. Terezi offers you a piece. You don't want to be rude, but you also really don't want to eat chalk. She shrugs and crunches on it like unshelled lobster. You guys, you have to take that in stride. The more important thing is that Terezi is inconsolably sad, which sucks because you're the only person in a position to console her. Aw. Well, give her a hug. You know how to fix this. You don't know how to make Terezi feel better. The best you can think to do is put your arms around her. Despite the fact that you are a complete stranger who basically just kidnapped her, she welcomes the embrace.
I hated her for what she did. Not to me, but to our friends. All but went to war over it. After our truce, we cut ties. My hope was that she would avoid hurting anyone else. But deep down I knew I would have to kill her eventually, in the name of justice. She did terrible things, but so did I. We did some of them together. Why wasn't I culpable? Why did I blame her for something we did to each other?
You think it's regrettably natural to blame the person in front of you when you get hurt, especially when the real problem is too big and esoteric to stab through the chest with a sword cane.
Vriska did what she did because she had to. So did I. We both deserved the revenge we wrought on each other. But we were all victims of the big picture. It made us what we are, and sure we would do what we did. Every little injustice started there. And when we fight, whoever painted that picture smiles and laughs, because they know they have already won.
She sits up a little straighter, and you feel your spine follow suit almost on its own.
Fuck that!
Terezi slips out of your arms and stands up, pulling you to your feet with her. Her entire demeanor has changed. She's practically vibrating with determination.
Take me to Vriska's hive. I'm assuming that's a thing you can do.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing you can do. Your mind is still buzzing, but talking to Terezi has calmed the storm just enough for you to focus. As you take her hand, you spare a last look around this bizarre, impossible space. You still feel watched, but it's distant now. Maybe even approving? You have so many questions, but those will have to wait. Right now, you've got work to do.
Circuit dues and a pie rope.
Sap! Uh-oh. Before you even see where you've landed, Terezi marches up to a very surprised Vriska and backs her up against the wall. She stops just a few feet away, looking up at the cerulean spider girl with anger on her face. Despite their difference in stature, Vriska is intimidated? Caught her off guard, and Terezi is unflinching. The room is completely silent. You see Terezi clenching her fists. She looks one wrong move away from unleashing hell. This isn't quite what you had in mind when you brought her here, and you really hope your new friends are not about to fight each other. Something in the air changes. You're not, entirely sure what's happening, but something is definitely happening, and you figure it's best to just cross your arms and pretend you don't exist. Terezi's posture softens. Her hands relax as she breathes a soft sigh. Vriska straightens up, letting her own tension dissipate. Because you're feeling a little less tense yourself? When Vriska cracks a hesitant smile, Terezi leans back. She's sniffing the air intensely, which feels like a good sign. Everyone's getting a little looser, a little more casual. Definitely improvement. Then they both start cackling, slapping their knees like they've just heard the most hilarious knock-knock joke in history. You would sure like to get in on the joke too, but you figure it will probably be rude to ask. And then they hug? You're not exactly sure what just happened, but you figure hugging is a powerful platonic friend activity even in the worst of times. It's gotten you this far after all. Yeah, that's all this is. Just two gal pals hugging out. It's so sweet you could cry. When they separate, Terezi meanders over to a window overlooking the pit where Vriska's losses used to live.
So she's dead.
Oh yeah, I'm real broken up about it too. Vriska winks at you.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not. Terezi turns and leans up against the windowsill.
You have a lot to make up for.
That's why I've been messaging you. I want to apologize, okay?
I don't want your apology, Vriska. I have a lot to make up for, too.
There's definitely some kind of something going on in this room that you're completely oblivious to. You wonder what went down between these girls that they can't even talk about what they're talking about.
What do you mean? There is so much injustice in the world. Every drop of deliciously innocent and painfully extracted blood on this planet is just pain for the fishy fucks up top to play with. And the worst part is that we're complicit. We revel in it even. I reveled in it.
Terezi, are you?
They could never make this violence good, so they had to make it fun. And I had so much fun hurting people. Who knows how long I would have gone on like that if it hadn't been for a weird invasive species of friend here.
Terezi wipes a tear from her cheek and smiles at you, and you feel a huge wave of relief. Friends, with a former murder lawyer in training. You sure know how to pick 'em.
For once, Vriska, I want to revel in something good. I want them to feel the razor edge of their own justice. I want their blood to stain the dirt beneath my feet like the pathetic wiggling insects they are. But I can't do it alone. I don't want to do it alone.
You watch as Terezi takes in a measured breath. For just a moment, you can imagine her standing in a room full of determined people, just behind the person everyone else will call leader, smiling a wicked smile. She's not the one who commands the stage, you think. She's the one who controls the spotlight. She is the one who knows what happens next.
I'm not sure what we are together anymore, Vriska. I've hated you. I've felt a lot of things. What I know is that we're dangerous, and fate seems determined to make us rivals. That almost sounds fun, doesn't it? We could fight for the rest of our lives if we wanted to. Each the scourge of the other until one or both of us winds up dead. They will tell stories about us for a long time. But I don't want that to happen anymore. Do you?
No! You haven't known Vriska very long, but this is a side of her you've never seen. You doubt many people have. It's actually really awkward. You should probably go, but your prying curiosity and desire for interpersonal closure keeps you glued to the spot.
We had the right idea in the wrong circumstances. But this time, I think we can really do something together. So let's try this again. Vriska, will you be my skirt sister? Yeah, obviously. Good. Then let's get to fucking work.
A smile. They share a look that you can't quite read, but you get the feeling that this was a resounding success. One of the prettiest so far. Also, wow, I never noticed the handle was like the other the other horn. That is great. Right. You reunited Terezi with her long-lost sister? You've never been more glad you're not a fish. Get some leverage. You lean forward onto your feet, take a deep breath, and then hop backwards as hard as you can. It worked! You scramble up out of the broken chair as your captor turns towards you.
What the fuck?
You try to run, but the rope still around your legs has other plans as you trip. Try to catch your weight, fail, and just sort of let the momentum of your vaudevillian tumble carry you across the room. You slam into your captor and send both of you flying out the window. Okay. Oh, this is way higher up than you thought. You grab onto her and pray for dear life. Hey, you're not falling. That's a relief. You congratulate your agile friend on her quick reflexes in grabbing hold of... Oh no. You heard of hung jury, but this is ridiculous. Oh, what the... No. Oh, no. Oh my god. No. Yeah, accidental death. Oh, fuck me. No, that was horrible. That was so fucking horrible. Okay, give her a distraction. You heave out a mournful sigh. Alternia's a meat grinder fine-tuned to pulverize anyone who tries to gum up the works. Maybe there's something to be done, but you don't think either of you are going to be the ones to do it.
Yeah, why bother, right? She's probably doing just fine without me anyway.
When you look over at her, you see she's doing her very best to hide her tears. That is no good. You may be lost in the cynical ennui of political burnout, but that doesn't mean you can just sit by and watch your new pal descend into abject disarray. What you two need is a distraction. What you need is a clown. No. You grab Terezi's hand and think the happiest, honkiest thoughts you can muster, and just like that, zap, you're right there in the living room of your dear friend Gamzee. What a sight for sore eyes is this jovial cut-up of a drug-addled juggalo.
What the fucking motherfuck?
With comical slowness, he dive bombs away from you over his couch and into a pile of horns. A chaotic honk cacophony sends Gamzee into a chorus of screams. You elbow Terezi. Smell that? How can she possibly think about the crushing impossibility of making the world a better place when this fellow's over here acting such a fool? Her frown is unwavering as Gamzee clambers back up to his feet.
That was a righteous motherfucking miracle what you just gone all up and did in front of me. Got me scared on wise right into the horn pile, my brother. It's a real good thing I'm tripping the pie clown-tastic right now, otherwise my pump biscuit might have flipped turnways hard enough to make me be all violent on a motherfucker.
His smile is nothing if not cordially unhinged.
Hey, Gams. Terezi. Well, fuck me all situationally up. What'd do, my sister? It do too much. Shit, man, that's some bad news to hear. Now that I'm looking all up at you motherfuckers, you seem pretty hellaciously burdened. Like in the soul what we have.
You agree that you do all have souls, probably. That is the answer he was looking for, right?
If I have a soul, it's a tart-tasting slime stuck on the bottom of a ground pusher covering. You mean a shoe? Whatever. Well, I don't know what you two hoes have scribbled down on your planners for tonight, but if it's the world what has you wary-eyed, me thinks maybe you should be getting to have your thing pans all up in some pie pans, my mans.
That's not a bad idea. What better distraction from the dystopic nightmare of Alternia than the warm, comforting embrace of hallucinogenic drugs? Terezi seems momentarily unsure, like some sensible part of her is desperately begging her to do literally anything else. Fuck it! She plops down on the couch with determination, sinking into it like a sack of disillusioned potatoes.
That is directly the noise I would like to hear.
Gamzee slithers down next to her and puts an arm over Terezi's shoulder. She tenses up, but doesn't push him away.
What about you, Miracle Dempster? Do you want to be getting all in with this?
He pats the seat next to him with a delightful grin. You think you feel the same tug of reason Terezi felt, but you'll be damned if you pretend to have more sense than a lawyer. Besides, you're having a hard time imagining anywhere you'd rather be than in the arms of a fragrant clown. He puts his arm around your shoulders as you sit and try to make yourself comfortable.
Now ain't this just the coziest motherfucking snuggle sesh there ever was?
You see Terezi sniff at an open, half-empty Faygo bottle before taking a big swig.
Pass me some of that wicked elixir, my sister.
Gamzee takes his own demure zip, gargling as he sucks from the bottle. By the time he passes it to you, you're pretty sure it's more backwash than Faygo, which is still more Faygo than none, you guess. It is without a doubt the most vile combination of taste and viscosity you've ever put into your body. But hey, at least now you're not thinking about politics. As you toss the empty bottle to the ground, already lost in a stupefied haze, you glance over at your new pal, Terezi. She doesn't look happy, but at least she doesn't look sad. Goal accomplished, you guess?
No. God damn it, not again.
Yeah, wasted. No. Horrendous. I didn't like it in the main comic, I don't like it here. Your relief for not falling is immediately offset by the terrifying realization that you had accidentally murdered Terezi. She had accidentally threaded her neck through the noose in her room as she fell with you. Wasn't Red Glare also killed like that by the spectators in during a trial? Anyway, thank you for watching. This was Diabolical, and I will see you on the next one. Yeah.